Monk seals.
The Caribbean monk seal, which is known to many as the West Indian seal, is one of two marine species to be driven to extinction in the last 2 centuries. The Caribbean monk seals were the only seals native to the Caribbean Sea and Gulf of Mexico. Their last sighting was in 1952, where they were declared extinct by the U.S. National Marine Fish Services in 2008. Their overharvest began with 8 seals that Christopher Columbus pulled in on a voyage. Thereafter, harvesting Caribbean monk seals was common. This commercial harvest led to extremely low abundances in population by the 1800s. The Hawaiian monk seal is one of the most endangered seal species. There are only 1,100 single seals remaining, according to a record taken in 2010. Their population declined 60% since the 1950s. Few live on the main Hawaiian Islands, while the rest live on the northwestern islands. There are only 6 reproductive populations in the northwestern Hawaiian Islands, and small numbers on the main islands. In the 1900s, the Northwest Hawaiian Islands were classified as a U.S. National Wildlife Refuge in hopes to protect the seals from direct harvest. Unfortunately, according to a survey in the 1950s, there were rapid declines in beach counts, and by the mid-1970s, the population declined 50%. They are listed endangered under the IUCN, U.S. Endangered Species Act, depleted under the MMPA, and categorized under Appendix 1 of CITES. The MMPA and the ESA have been working to establish more protective measures, such as establishing the Northwest Hawaiian Islands coral reef ecosystem a reserve in 2000. This restricted activity in seal habitats. Declines continued at 5% per year from 1985 to 1993, but remained stable through 2000. Recently, they began returning on main Hawaiian Islands and public beaches, and from 2006 to 2008, 43 pups were observed. The real answer or reason for their decline is not known, but there are several logical explanations for why it may have happened. For one, food limitation may have decreased population growth. They feed on bottom invertebrates, but now that the capturing of lobster is illegal in the Northwest Hawaiian Islands, it can affect their growth and survival. Also, juveniles have been observed in poor conditions with low survival at many rookeries. Low oceanographic changes are another factor that result in low productivity in coastal waters. Lastly, ocean conditions increase erosion rates on beaches, which have resulted in a loss of habitat. As far as human impact goes, seals have been injured with a number of different man-made rigs. Injury and bycatch are common with fisheries which affect seals swimming and feeding off of shore. In addition, longline fishing hooks have also caused drowning and many deaths, which is now prohibited within 80 kilometers of the Northwest Islands. Recreational shore fishing and gill netters from main islands have also had a large impact on seal population. These are also prohibited in the Northwest Islands. Hawaiian monk seals are more commonly entangled in marine trash than any other seal species. There are 25 reported entanglements per year. The National Marine Fish Services biologists disentangled over 200 monk seals per year. Debris removal programs have been in place since 1982 in efforts to remove this threat. Natural ecosystem and population interactions have also had a large effect on the seal population. In terms of the food chain, there has been a significant increase in predation of sharks, especially on young pups. Some 30% of pups can be killed by sharks. These predatory sharks have been removed using hook line and harpoons. Also, there have been changes in population makeup. There are more males than females, which leads to male aggression that can result in the death of females and immature seals. In efforts to increase pup survival, some pups are relocated, and undersized pups are captured where food is low. Most remain in captivity for 8 to 10 months, then they are released into the wild if they are stable enough. 60% of 104 captured pups return. Many dwindling populations require intense management efforts, and some feel that the human contact interferes in the natural disorder. The Mediterranean monk seal has populations less than 500 in some areas. They are located in the Mediterranean Sea and a few locations in the eastern Atlantic. Originally, their declines were due to excessive harvest and abuse using spears, clubs, and nets in the Middle Ages. But by the 19th and 20th century, habitat loss and pollution from the Industrial Revolution, the Two World War, tourism and development, and fishing have led to rapid population loss. It is clear that the thing that saved the Mediterranean monk seals from total extinction was the fact that they seek refuge and bear young in caves only accessible underwater. Current threats to the Mediterranean monk seal include habitat loss from coastal development and tourism, entanglement in fishing gear, and a lot of their primary food source, such as fish, squid, and octopus, are being overfished and their populations are dwindling as well. Scuba diving and tourist disruptions have also had a traumatic effect on these seals. Perhaps one of the top concerns, though, is the unpredictable environmental events and disease outbreaks. Because with such low population size, there is an isolation of species of two remaining populations. 2/3 of the Atlantic population died in 1997 due to toxins and algal blooms. The population is now at 150. In order to sustain all the species of monk seals still in existence, many conservation efforts have been put into place. There are now establishing marine protected areas and no-fish zones. Wounded or orphaned seals have been rescued and nursed to health. Public and educational awareness campaigns are being held, but the funding is difficult to establish. Capturing, breeding, and translocating monk seals have been considered, but it has raised many controversial issues. There isn't enough public support to provide cost and efforts. Too many people believe that monk seals are too easy to live without. The Caribbean, Hawaiian, and Mediterranean monk seals have been subject to overharvest for many centuries. Their food is being overfished and their habitat is being demolished. Human and natural effects of these seals contribute to their endangerment. They are desperately trying to survive in one of the most heavily developed and populated areas in the world. Several groups continue to work to achieve conservation efforts in order to save these animals.